Good morning everyone! Today is an exciting day because we are officially starting prep for moving day. We have a few things that we need to get for the homestead since we pretty much gave away everything we used to have. But we're only going to start with the essentials, so I thought this would be a really great video, not only to show the process of getting ready, but also a chance to show you guys what we think are the essentials or the things you must have if you're starting a homestead from scratch. Let's go.
First item, essential item of the homestead, a trailer. My ute used to serve this purpose, but we're moving on from it because we do need vehicles that can have car seats in them, and so we're going to go for wagons and moving over to trailers for all the homesteading stuff, like getting wood chips, getting soil, timber,
IBC tanks, pallet wood.
IBC, yeah, pallets are a big one. Like, just, it's a trailer, you know, that's what it's for. But for homesteading specifically, this is imperative because we're not going to put a bunch of dirt in the back of our car.
And we made sure to invest in a small trailer to begin with so that we can actually put it to good use straight away. And then eventually we'll upgrade to a bigger one that we can also take camping. But for now, we just needed something very affordable that was going to get us started with establishing everything that we're going to need to.
There's a purpose to this one as well. So like when we upgrade and we get a nice cage trailer, which would be great for like camping and family things down the line, this one remains like we'll use it for transporting water to animals because we can't do anything permanent yet because we don't own land, but it's going to be really handy having an IBC on it and being able to, you know, have animals a little bit further away and be able to get the water to them.
Hooking our new trailer on this morning because we are going to get one of the next things you're going to need if you're starting a homestead from scratch. So as you can see, we've headed out to South Coast Trailers and we're looking to pick up an IBC tank. Now, ideally, we want to have a much larger tank to hold our water storage, and water is something we definitely need for our shower, for our dishes, for drinking water, for everything. So we are going to invest in a bigger tank eventually, but for now, just to get us started, just to get us through, and then also be able to reuse for animals in the future and for gardens in the future, we're going to pick up some food grade IBCs. Unfortunately, South Coast Trailers, the IBCs they had left had questionable elements in the water tanks, so we didn't opt for those. We actually ended up finding another contact just up the road in Milngandi, and we picked up a food grade IBC tank where, once we researched what was in it prior, felt a lot safer and made us feel a lot more confident.
So it's really important, guys, to pay attention to those little details. The first one we went and saw, it was a non-food grade chemical that was in it, and then they cleaned it at a food grade level. So it had been steamed and it had been pressure cleaned, but what was in it before was not good for consumption for humans. The second one, it was exactly the same process, but the chemical that was in it before was food grade and it was for like brewing beer and stuff like that. So those little details can catch you out. We could have walked away with a food grade IBC that actually
still had chemicals embedded in the plastic that would leach into the water.
100%.
And that's just not what we want. The next lot of things that you're going to need if you're starting a homestead from scratch is your basic tools. As far as power tools go, the things that we use the most in our first year or two of homesteading before investing in more were things like our drills. We always had two, which made it really easy. When one battery ran out, you could get the next one. A angle grinder for cutting metal. Think things like chicken netting, things like wire. You're going to need it a lot, especially if you're building out of metal so that it lasts rather than wood. We also had a drop saw, which came in handy for so many projects and made them so much easier. A handsaw and also a jigsaw. So I think those are probably 5 main tools that you would want to invest in first off that are going to make a difference. Of course, there's going to be others depending on what you're doing on your homestead and your skill set, but those are the 5 we use. Along with power tools, some basic handheld tools are also a must. Things like hammers, things like screwdrivers, wrenches, shifters, tape measurer, all the basics that you might use for building will also come essential when it comes to your homestead, when it comes to fixing things, when it comes to building things, when it comes to maintaining them.
This is an electric fence, specifically a poultry electric fence. We've had this since we started our homestead, and it's just invaluable. Like, cannot recommend it more as an early investment. We use this to raise our pigs. They spent pretty much their whole life in this setup. We've used it to keep our dogs contained, like create random outdoor areas wherever we go, especially if we're traveling. We've used it to protect broody chooks from predators when they decide to they want to sit in their eggs out in the bush, and if you move them, then they break their brood. We use it to protect gardens. Like, there's just a never-ending thing. And the cool thing is that your domestic animals, when they realize it's electrified, when they get hit a couple of times, then they respect it. There's nothing stopping our Coolie and Kelpie from jumping this fence, apart from the fact that they have been trained to know that this is herdy.
Right, boys? If you plan on homesteading or gardening like us, then I'm sure it comes as no surprise that you're going to need some tools to get the job done. I definitely found this challenging as we had to get all of our tools back. You have things like a wheelbarrow or a garden cart. You'll want to have a hoe and a pitchfork. A shovel is probably very necessary as well. You're going to want some gloves so that your hands aren't constantly getting dirty, and so you can protect them as well when you're handling wood and other things. Moving around water to get to your gardens as well is going to be challenging unless you have a garden hose or unless you have a watering can, so investing in that would be a good idea too.
Alright, the next thing that you need when you're starting out a homestead is a whippersnipper. Guys, you don't need a big ride-on lawnmower, you don't need a zero turn. In fact, a zero turn or a ride-on lawnmower is not going to be able to get into those tight small spaces like around your garden, in your garden beds. This whippersnipper, especially the handlebar version, allowed me to whippersnip large areas, and it happened really quickly. Like, it took more effort and it was a bit more sweat, but if you just have a whippersnipper, you can keep the grass back from your gardens and keep it back from your fence lines. Next on the list, but very important, especially in the Australian bush, is a chainsaw. This one is just a small, it's an MS-180, so it's really for chopping limbs off, but with lots of maintenance, and like it'll handle anything. It'll handle firewood, it'll handle your yard management, and critically, it'll handle the clearing that you need to do to manage for bushfires.
Of course, all of these tools and things need a place to be stored, and if you're moving onto raw land, you may not necessarily have shelter. So one of the next things that we got for our homestead is just a small 3 meter by 3 meter garden shed. It's going to be a nice dry place with a roof where we can store all of our equipment so that it doesn't go rusty, so that it doesn't get wet, so that it doesn't go bad.
It's working. We're doing it. Don't build a shed unless you've got flat ground.
So there you have it, guys. That's our list of things that you're going to need to start a homestead with. They are the things that we're going to make sure that we have on hand, that we have claimed back or hopefully kept around to make sure that we can start all of the projects and the things we want to on our homestead. This isn't an exhaustive list. I'm sure there are many tools that I have accidentally kept off or accidentally forgotten about that I'm going to be like, oh, if only I had mentioned that. So let me know down below what other things you think you need to start a homestead with. What are the essential tools and items that are going to make it an easier process and also a better process for you? See you guys next time.